And welcome to another episode of the In-Game Boss Podcast. I am your host, Jeremy, a.k.a. your retro activist, a.k.a. your in-game boss, a.k.a. your video game plumber, because, man, there's some leaks that we need to clog up. And, of course, my other friend over here, second in chair all the time, Mr. Jaron.
Hey, it's me, a.k.a. Evil Vaku, a.k.a. the Grumpy Bear, a.k.a. looks like we're going to have to lay a bit of news pipe on this.
Yes, man, there is a lot of stuff that happened from point A to point B. Like, a lot of stuff going on. And when I mean point A to point B, I mean like the last month. Like, just this road going to E3 as you speak is just going more and more and more and stuff. Pause on there. Hey. You're a little cut off on the video a little bit. Can you lift up a little bit for me on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Gotta see the shoulders.
Yeah,
I know.
We want to see the whole face. Real face. You
know.
know.
No. Yeah. You pay for the whole face, but you only need the lips.
No, but no, a lot of news has happened going on this route that is happening, actually by the time this episode's out, it'll be that Friday when E3 starts, the Microsoft, Nintendo, 2K, Ubisoft, EA, all of them are coming out once again. Some of them are doing some early stuff. There's some special, dedicated games. Like, I believe Battlefield 6 is going to be having their own private thing, and then EA will do their own thing. There is the Game of Summer from IGN. They're talking about some of their indie games are coming out. So a lot of games are coming out a little bit ahead of time. Some are getting some early demos ahead of E3. Maybe say some time, especially some Sony will not be at E3 to talk about.
They don't have to be.
Yeah. Now. They're just too good. But also, too, when's the last time they had a PlayStation experience? I think we only got that 1 year, 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, they've just done little mini states of play. Yeah.
Nintendo set some influence on them. They're like, man, just stick with video. They'll love you regardless, It's like, all right, you're right. And same thing with Xbox. Xbox only had one experience, ceremony conference and just, mainly all talk about non-game stuff, but whatever. It's fine.
Promise. The dragons are coming. We promise.
Right? But as you know, this is a video game podcast show, Oklahoma's #1 video game podcast show. So I want to thank everybody for listening to us, and new people, thank you so much for joining us. And if you are listening to us, don't forget we are also on video. So go to YouTube, look for In-Game Boss Program, or follow the link that I have in the description, and it'll hopefully send you right there to us. So where you can see our wonderful faces and other videos that we like to B-roll in our conversation. But there's a lot of news, and we need to go ahead and get right into it. Some of it just kind of fell in our lap during the week of us getting ready to record and whatnot. So
yeah, when it rains, it pours.
Right. So first things first. Let's get to the big one that just actually the most recent one. By now, a lot of people has been talking about it, but of course, we got to put our 2 cents in. And that is God of War 2 or Ragnarok has been delayed to 2022. Now coming to PS4 along with Gran Turismo. That will be also, I don't know, is it 7? Would it be Gran Turismo 7? Yeah, so 7.
Yeah, it's going to be GT7. Who knows when they'll be done with it, because Polyphony, they take their time. They take their sweet time. Every game looks amazing, but they take their sweet time.
Yeah. So, probably 2 more Forzas, and then we'll get that game. But that's also coming out for PS4. And then there's a possibility that Horizon Forbidden West is going to be also maybe delayed to 2022, because due to the State of Play demo that we saw about a week ago, we saw this awesome, beautiful game, but the problem was there was no release date. So we don't know if that's going to swing over to 2022. And then, no, that's it so far for the first piece of news. So that's a lot right there. Sony, because we heard this from the head person talking about this and I guess like in an interview or something like that about what's going on. What's the difference between, Horizon's PS4 edition to the PS5 edition, in which we all know what the difference is. It's going to be performance, basically. Just run smoother or anything like that. I don't think it's going to be a day and night graphically, But Jaron, let me throw everything that is so far thrown at you. How do you feel about that whole Sony stuff we just talked about. How do you feel about that?
It makes sense. I mean, actually, my initial reaction was, ooh, people gonna be mad. And by people, I mean shameless fanboys and whatnot. There's already a kerfuffle on the social medias. Fanboys lashing out, saying, "How dare you make this cross-gen? It's supposed to be PS5 only. The next gen is supposed to start. I have a PS5. Why isn't this going on? Blah blah blah." You know what? Sony's making the money decision. Anybody, unless you've been under a rock, a PS5 is near impossible to get your hands on unless you're lucky or you have a bot. And despite what they say the sales numbers are, that's sold. How many are actually in homes?
Sorry, I just wanted to make sure. Jim Ryan. I got to remember that name. That's the guy.
Yes.
Okay, go on.
Jim Ryan.
Go on.
Yeah. How many are actually in homes? What's their actual install base? Sony knows this. They won't acknowledge it. They should. But they won't acknowledge it. So they're going with the established install base of, I don't know, a PS4 has 100 million? Or no, not 100 million. They have 50, 60, 70 million, something. They have a lot. The PS4. Makes sense. I mean, Miles Morales, Spider-Man came out last year on the PS4 and the PS5. I think it did better on the PS4, obviously, because who could get a PS5? So do Horizon, do Gran Turismo 7. It wouldn't be the first time they've done cross-gen games,
Yeah, I think the issue is not so much of the cross-platform to me. I think it's just more of their statement of saying, hey, we don't believe in cross-platform. That's what Jim Ryan said.
We don't believe it. We believe in generations. We're moving on.
So, and then just the fact that they didn't come to the mindset of you're willing to cut off that huge, install base, a PS4, instead of just making it a smooth transition. You decided you just want to go and cut it off. And I think due to the scarcity of the PS5, they had to backpedal a lot of things that they said, which I understand that. But at the same time, it's more of maybe you should have not said that. You should have just said, we will see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of goes back to, what I said. I can't remember which show, but way back when Sony has this habit of nailing a generation and then the following generation is shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, granted, this was exacerbated by, the pandemic, the silicon chip shortage, all of that. But you saw how they had to walk back their whole closing the PlayStation store for PS3 and Vita games. They had to walk that back fast. Of course, they're going to walk back the whole generation thing. I mean, Microsoft is killing the hell out of them with at least, customer perspective,
in honesty,
friendliness, Yeah, and it's hey, I would love to get an Xbox. I'm at the point where it's I could actually walk into a store and get an Xbox Series S now. Maybe not the X, but at least a next gen console for Microsoft. I could walk into a store. I could walk into Best Buy. So, what are you doing, Sony?
Man, I think the question is right now with the news of these are all also come to PS4 is more of does it feel like a waste of time right now to get a PS5?
Yes.
Or
it's like yes, period.
Yeah, because you and I are not in a rush for it, but at the same time, it feels like our not being in a rush to get a PS5 is paying off because it's they happened to come to us, so we don't really have to move or anything, So it's kind of interesting in that way. It's sad. It's sad that way because honestly, I didn't think God of War was going to be a PS4. I thought that was going to be a 5. And I thought maybe Ratchet and Clank would be a PS4 and a PS5 game. But I was way off on that. Same thing with Returnal. I thought maybe that would be cross. Since it's a small team doing that game. But, with that being said, right now, as you were mentioning off air of what exclusives are on PS5, is almost just a little bit more than Xbox by maybe two games.
I mean, Demon's Souls remastered, but I mean, you can play that on the PS3. The original Demon Souls, that is.
The regular master, not remaster. The regular master.
Yeah. I mean, it's not something that you can't play anywhere else. It's not something you can't play. That's like for people who had never played it or who loved it, and it's a remaster. It's an easy sell. Apparently, that sold almost as much or maybe more than the Spider-Man.
Well, you got a short game and then a monster game, and plus, I mean, it's a launch game, and there's not really anything else for it. I think Demon's Soul just happens to hit the mark of like, hey, there's nothing else for this coming out for this console. I guess we'll just take all the money for now until the next big game, because if Horizon comes out this year, then that's when Demon's Souls is going to be kind of like faded back, right? Until like another From Software game comes out,
Well, that's the kicker. I mean, I feel bad for Jerome, friend of the show. But there really isn't a reason to own a PS5 right now, outside of 2, maybe 3 if you like Demon Souls Remastered, 3 games, because I mean, I'm not crying for PS5 owners, because guess what they can do? They can take their PS4 games, upscale them. There's patches out, performance and visual patches out for these PS4 games. So good for you. Ghost of Tsushima looks beautiful. Looks even more beautiful on the PS5. So I'm not shedding tears for early adopters. But like you said before, we lucked out in that we didn't succumb to FOMO, and we're just kind of sitting tight. And it looks like we're going to be sitting tight until probably
2022.
E3 2022. Maybe fall 2022, because this shortage is going so long.
And then to talk about a slightly redesign due to replacing a chip or something like that.
Making them cheaper. Well, maybe not cheaper, but definitely making them easier to produce, so they can get more of them out the door. Yeah.
Now, does that mean that it's going to perform better? I don't know. It's not really a slim, and it's not really whatever the other PS4 edition.
A Pro.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be a Pro. I just think it's just going to be just another, just small, slightly, maybe. The only difference it would be if they give us more memory, more storage. Now, that's more storage, then yes, a lot of early adopters got screwed over. Because that's the one I want, give us more storage.
Yeah, I mean, the thing already looks like a giant behemoth. It is, I can't even put it on the camera, but it is huge. It is about as big as my mid-tower computer case. Mm-hmm. And it sounds like a friggin' jet engine sometimes. Yeah. So if we could get a PS5 that still plays PS4 games, I really hope they don't do that whole, we're just taking it away. I hope they don't do that. They pull that crap like they did with the PS3. But if more storage and smaller, I'm in.
But let's be honest here. How many people were really thinking that God of War was going to come out this year? Like, I honestly did not think God of War was. I was like, when they even announced it at the Video Game Awards, when they talked about it, I think it was at the Video Game Awards. But when they showed that, I was like, really? We're really thinking it's going to come out 2021? Like, the console hasn't even been out for a year. Like, God of War has never been a first, next year thing. It's always, almost in the middle of its life cycle. So the fact that it was 2021 was like, that's pretty ambitious. The same year Horizon, Forbidden West is also coming out. Like, that's a pretty meaty fall for those games. But I was, no way. I think most people are like, yeah, sure. Because by now we would have saw some video. By now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Here's the thing. If they're nobody but the really overly optimistic and the glue sniffers were thinking it was coming out this year. And obviously if you don't sniff glue, you're overly optimistic. But God of War, think about how beautiful the PS4 God of War game was. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. It was a game of the year contender across the board. That's not going to just be whipped up in 2-3 years. I would be surprised if it's out mid 2022, but I'm thinking early 2023.
Okay.
So, and that's the thing. It's I would, and me personally, I would be surprised if I even got a PS5 before summer of 2022.
Okay.
as I've started using your word bangers for must-have titles. There have to be this hand needs to be filled up with exclusive bangers. This hand's empty. This hand's empty. It's like one, maybe.
If Forbidden West makes it to 2022, which that's the question I want to ask you. Do you think this is going to be a 22 game? I'm going to call and say yes, it's going to be a 2022 game, Halo. As I said earlier,
I don't disagree because they're probably going to, if they're foolish, they're going to say, "Oh yeah, November of 2021," and then it'll quietly slip to February of 2022.
Which is funny because I believe the first one was out in February.
Yeah.
Just like God of War
it was out early in the year.
And God of War came out in April. And it'd be funny if it's deja vu. If they both came out that same month again. Like when they release it, that'd be funny.
I mean, don't get me wrong. They're not going to eat their own sales because people are going to buy both of them. People are going to be hungry for both of them. Mm-hmm. You have a huge install base PS4 and you have PS5 and the beauty that it will be. People are going to buy them. The kicker is, I would like to think that this whole fiasco with Cyberpunk last year and some other assorted issues with Rush Games really got studios saying, we can push, but we're trying not to crunch our employees and we're trying not to put out a buggy mess. So we're
true.
Just push it back. Push it back.
The only reason why I couldn't put these two developers that are doing these games is because they got it the first time right. Now we have trust that they can do it again right. Unlike CG Projekt Red, they got too ambitious.
There was a mixture of too much ambition and poor leadership.
Yeah.
And it was a number of issues. That poor dev team. I feel bad for that dev team.
Because Guerrillas and Santa Monica, they haven't really put out a bad record so far. So I have faith that they're going to take time. Hell, that's probably why they announced God of War got delayed. They knew that It almost felt like it was a stunt just to get people hyped for it and then pull it back.
Yeah, it might have been a PR stunt too of like, hey, we don't want to crunch our employees, so we're going to push this back. Everybody knows those employees are going to get crunched in one way or the other. I have yet, unless it's an indie studio run by like 5 guys who crunch themselves, I have yet to see a big name title come out where the employees said they weren't crunched at all.
Yeah, and and also for the listeners, when I make personal bets like this, I hope I lose. I want the game to come out. I want it to be well. But at the same time, I laugh because I'm like, I can't believe I'm right. Like, it's really being pushed back. Like, come on. Like, really? Like, what happened? But for these titles, it makes sense. And because of, you got to remember, too, like, the last couple of falls have been weird, right? You had the God of War you got Halo that got slipped right at the last minute to Cyberpunk being a disaster. So, fall has not been a really good year for certain developers like that. But also on top of that, there was also a thing Jim Ryan also mentioned about the studio that did Days Gone.
Oh, Bend?
Yeah. And they're talking about that they are working on a new game, and there's not really any, drama or anything going on about that. So I'm paraphrasing that, by the way, for the listeners. So
sure as hell ain't Days Gone too.
Yeah. So I don't know the details. We probably won't know ever unless, an ex developer comes and tells a story about it. But other than that, that's what all the details they say. So I'm happy for the PS4 owners that they are getting this game, but I would not relax too much because I feel like after these are done, the next entry, if the next generation gets another God of War and another Horizon on top of that, so you're looking at the third ones for each one, that those are definitely going to be exclusive for PS5, hands down.
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for it has to be 2022, the last year of this the cross console thing, and in 23 is just because hopefully there won't be a shortage.
Yeah. Going back to supplies, this whole mess should be untangled, like chips and everything caught up by end of 2022. Mm-hmm. So But I would say probably end of this year, middle of next year, you'll be able to just walk into a store and buy a console. But that's me also being overly optimistic. They already said that the whole chip shortage isn't going to be fully resolved until 2023.
Okay. All right.
So, but that sucks for PS5 super fanboys, but great for the rest of us. We have another year, maybe year and a half of reprieve.
Yep. So with that, we're going to move on to some sadder news for a second. So as you know, us and the world of video games are very disappointed how a certain game did not do very well off the bat, and that is Balan Wonderworld. Or how Jaron likes to say it, Wonderland. And, it just didn't do very well with the demo. It just didn't do well for the reputation. Everybody thought, Yuki's back. He's going to come and bring the game, the games that we've been wanting from Knight and Sonic. But sadly enough, it did not do well. It did terrible. It barely sold about 2,000 copies worldwide. So with that,
2,000 or 20,000. I think it was 20,000.
Both doesn't sound good. But sadly enough, he is now no longer part of Square Enix, with the studio Balan Studios shut down or defunct. It sucks that it didn't go out that well, but I understand too, for Square Enix point of view, is like, dude, this hit hard. Some bad games still they're kind of close to their quarter, but this was not enough for you can't do this. This was a one-shot deal. And, you mentioned that there might have been more behind the scenes that we might not know about, but we won't know until maybe Yuki Naka, which he talked about retiring, might tell the story of maybe in the future of what happened with this game. But yeah, it sucks because that means that we're never going to get any more of this creative mind of his. But at the same time, was his time up? Can he not make the games that he used to? And this comes to another question that we talked about this on the show. Are developers not as good as they are once they leave the studio that they're at, because the studio kind of helps them out more than you think? You know what I mean? I mean, look at, Kinjay Inafune. He didn't do very well after he left Capcom, right? You got the guy that did Ninja Gaiden that ended up doing that terrible, terrible game, Devil's Third.
Itagaki.
Yeah. He failed, kind of, in his own way after he left, and now Yuki is almost in that same thing. So, Jaron, you are one of the biggest fans of his work. What is your full thoughts about this?
Yuji Naka, I liken it to Yu Suzuki, who did the Shenmue games. And we all know Shenmue 3 was only if you're a fan.
I was a fan until that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Going kind of dovetailing into your theory of, when they leave a studio, they're not as good. It's because there is a balance. There's an almost like an ecosystem in game creation. And, the developer, the lead developer, director has all these visions, wanting to do this and this and this and this and this. And the studio or the company is like, that's cool. Slow down. Let's take this and this and this and refine that. That kind of keeps them on a schedule. Says, hey, this isn't working. They have a lot of competent, experienced employees. I mean, the company who developed Balan Wonderworld, not published, which that was Square Enix, but developed. I can't even remember their name because they really didn't do anything super of note. They were Arzest, and they did
the art
stuff like we Play Motion and Mario and Sonic Rio 2016 Olympic Games, and Hey Pikmin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's not the studio that's going to properly execute Yuji Naka's vision.
Okay,
they're not. It's one of those things where, and they did Mario and Luigi Bowser's Inside Story on the 3DS, the re-release. So they've got some good ones and they've got some bad ones. You would think, having done a few of those games, that they would know how to deal with a platformer.
Mm-hmm.
No. In fact, on a it's kind of a mini documentary on what the hell happened to Balan Wonderworld, I saw that they had so many ideas, they didn't cut any of them. They just shoved it all in there. But because they shoved it all in there, they didn't, work on other things like the fun factor.
Yeah, it's almost like in the movie world where sometimes the studio will just like the director, like, hey, here's the money, do whatever you want with it. And it's like, sometimes that's not a good idea because they don't have a limitation. They don't have a limit. They have nobody to tell them, no, this is not a good idea.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing. I love artists. A lot of my best friends are artists, of either the visual or performing type, but some of them would agree. Sometimes certain ideas need to be reined in a bit if you're making something for mass consumption. It kind of falls tangentially to that game Star Citizen that's been in development for like almost 10 years.
I'm telling you, you're paying for a game to be made. That's it. It's never coming out. Well, you're just paying.
They have millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have a working alpha, but it is definitely an alpha, and they're like doing little updates and everything like that. But it's like, I will be surprised if this game comes out before I'm 40.
I'm already forgot about it. I'm like, I'm never gonna play this game. I didn't contribute money into it.
Yeah, I mean, the
biggest
people
scam
who
ever.
Really die hard about it. I mean, they're gonna love it. But the people who are lost patience, they're playing Elite Dangerous, or they're going back to EVE Online.
Man, I hope it's not a big scam, because that's the longest scam in the history of gaming.
Right. They got too many eyes on them. It's not. They got a released alpha, but they got too many eyes on them for it to be a big scam. It's a case of the creator, developer, just so many ideas. He's just shoving it all in. He's like, screw it. I'm getting money. Still. I can fit all this in. I can do this. I'm building the engine from the ground up. I'm doing this and this. And it's like, you know what? This has the potential to be one of the greatest games that has never been released. And
it'll have the greatest story ever. I can't wait till what happens does the story on that game. That is going to be.
I mean, if it comes out and it's successful, then it'll be a story on what the hell happened, why it took so long. But I honestly, at this point, whatever happens. But yeah, you're taking that example, Star Citizen. That's an example of sometimes maybe artist needs to be reined in a bit. It's like, come on, save some for the sequels.
So I guess my last question here is it time for him, Yuji Naka, to retire, or do you think he got one more in him?
Man, he's already talking about retirement. I say he needs to go with his gut and just retire. I mean, it doesn't mean Sonic ceases to exist without him. But I say he's going to retire and then be called out of retirement years later and come out with like a magnum opus and then go into retirement.
Okay.
That's my prediction.
I think it's time for him to retire. He's been in the game for long enough. I think Battle World was a reality check for him. It's like, I think, if anything, he'd be better off producing.
I mean, he's been in the game for 3 decades, over 3 decades. So he has nothing to prove to anyone.
Yeah.
But I think for the right people or the right team, can probably pull him out of retirement.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. So good luck, Yuji Naka. Sorry about Balan Wonderworld, but you're not the only one that has made a bad game. Actually, to be surprisingly, your game is probably more completed than a lot of developers that have left, and they just fell miserably, like Inafune and such, right? Like their games are terrible. I think they're worse than Balan Wonderworld. So
yeah, Tomonobu Itagaki is infamous for having a very aggressive attitude anyway. It's like my way or the highway. I'm going to do this. This is the greatest. This is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I could take a shit and it be wrapped in gold kind of attitude.
And that's how we got Devil's Third. Now, speaking of Yuji Naka, one of the create Sonic the Hedgehog. A couple of weeks ago, on top of that, the 30th anniversary of Sonic came out with a video and talking about all this new Sonic game come out. Really short, about 15 minutes. And, we got some news. One is a game I've been talking about for a long time on this show way back, is Sonic Colors is getting a definitive edition. Now, Sonic Colors was locked on the Wii for a long time. Came out in 2010. I've been talking about how that is my favorite 3D Sonic. and it sucks that it never recaptured better 3D games after that. But now it gets a chance to be on everybody's hands as it comes out to every console, including the Switch. All of it running on 60 frames, except Switch. I think it's running at 30, I want to say. But regardless, the game looks great in Definitive Edition. I don't know what the added features, but I'm glad it's getting getting in a lot more people's hands because this game needs to be touched more.
Yeah.
So I'm very, very excited about that. You, Jaron, have never played Sonic Colors. Is that correct?
That is correct. I've heard so much about it. I have not played it. It's like navigating a minefield between Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic Forces and Sonic Unleashed and all those other games that aren't horrible, just not scratching the itch.
Yeah, because it's funny, because if this game never came out, the only piece of Sonic Colors you ever played was Sonic Generation when you went to one of their worlds. That's it. That's the only piece of Sonic Colors you ever got to play if you haven't played the original. On top of that, we get the lovely, once again, and the 12th edition of a collection of Sonic games called the Origin games. Now, my issue with this is funny because it's the fact that this is coming with Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD. So you get 5 Sonic games. Which it's funny because I'm like, I get it. You know, you just want to keep releasing these collections. 1, because they somehow make money. And 2, it's for the next generation. You know, each console generation, you want to put some collection out there for the hell of it. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Capcom brings out another Mega Man collection in some shape or form down the road. I don't know.
Capcom Arcade Collection's already kind of doing some of that.
Okay, there you go. So somehow the collections are going to keep reappearing in some shape or form.
As long as people keep buying them.
Yeah. You know, my problem with this is at least Capcom's collection is a little bit more meaty. This Origin one could have been meatier. Like, can we go back to the PS2 era where the Sonic collection on there had the Game Gear games on there? How come this one doesn't have the Game Gears? Like, don't throw the Game Gear ones on here. Hell, throw a couple of Saturns. You know, like make this a little bit more unique than what it is than these just original 5.
Blow me away. Well, I was going to say blow me away and put Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 on there, but then they couldn't call it the Origin Collection. Mm-hmm. So they had to do Origin because these are the main games released in the height of Sonic's popularity back in the 90s. And I understand. Sonic CD is a good choice because there are very limited ways to play Sonic CD. There were.
Now, but back in the day on the PS3, there was an HD remaster edition of those. Because I also
Sonic Genesis Collection.
No, it's just Sonic CD. It's just Sonic CD by itself.
Okay.
It's just
in the store.
Yeah. It was just polished up in HD, and then they added some features of like different like the down roll and all that stuff. Because it was the same it was the same people that did those remasters. Also helped out with Sonic Mania. So, you know, that's where they got their more hands on there. But we have seen it by itself for like $5. But I think Game Gears can be on there because I think it's part of that Origin time too.
It was in the early 90s, yeah.
Yeah, and it filled in the blanks between each entry. You know, you got, you know, somehow Sonic and Tails met. You know, from, you know, the continuing on after 3 in between that and Sonic and Knuckles. So, like, I believe those could have came in there. And you get 8 games probably. Because, you know, you had Sonic 1 and 2, Sonic Chaos, Sonic Labyrinth. You know? Hell, you could even put the terrible Sonic Spinball in there. Or the Sonic 3D Blast. At least it's more content. Let people enjoy the badness that was the Sonics. You know?
Yeah, okay. I will give you that.
That's it. I'm not trying to defend it. I'm just saying, like, give it more, just give people options. Like, let them try the 3D Blast.
If you're going to milk the the 8-bit and 16-bit generations, put everything that came out in the 90s on there. I get you. I'm inclined to agree.
Yeah.
And also, it just, you know, I kind of went off about it before the show, but so tired of Sega milking the same games. Yeah, they're going to put out a collection, but it's almost like they're afraid or unable to put some of their other games out there. I mean, they have so many gems on the Dreamcast and a few on Saturn, but more on the Dreamcast that they can put out there. There's so much out there, but I don't know if they lost the gold copy, the masters, or what for that. Mm-hmm. But there's so much out there that I would love to play that came out on Saturn and Dreamcast.
I'll tell you what, this is crazy because of Octopath Traveler, and this relates to later on in the news that we're going to be talking about here. But the fact that Octopath Traveler have found a new way to mix new and old together to look like a pop-up book. I am down for every game to get this treatment that's old school. And I say that because Phantasy Star would be pretty cool to see in that effect too.
If they bring back the original RPGs.
Yeah, and give it that treatment. I rock some Phantasy Star looking like that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. And it'd be the first space kind of looking game. That'd be kind of cool,
Yeah. I mean, hell, I think it was on the DS or 3DS. I can't remember. But there was a Sonic RPG.
DS. Dark Chronicles. BioWare. Yeah. BioWare made that game. Yeah.
Yeah. Bring back. I mean, BioWare's not going to do this, but bring back a Sonic RPG. Like, work with. Hell, you can work with Namco Bandai or Square Enix. In fact, maybe that could be the thing that brings Yuji Naka back out of retirement.
Yeah, but back to your collection, how come we haven't seen other collection? I guess it's because they just don't think that nothing is going to beat a Sonic collection that's worth it. You mentioned Streets of Rage. I mean, that'd be a pretty good contender for it, but I can't
Golden Axe. Do you know how many Golden Axe games there are?
True. Actually, it should be a bundle. It should be a Streets of Rage and Golden Axe. Their beat 'em up edition to the Capcoms. The Capcoms beat 'em up collection. Do a Sega one.
Sega has the Streets of Rage franchise, the Golden Axe franchise, which put Revenge of Death Adder on there. I swear to God. They also have Alien Storm. They could put 1, 2, 3 for Streets of Rage, 1, 2, 3 for Golden Axe, like the third one that never came out over here or whatever, but put it in there. Revenge of Death Adder, that's 7, and Alien Storm, that's 8 games. 8 games, put it out for $30, $40. I'd buy it.
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know. Hell, they can do run and guns. I mean, you got. They got a bunch of run and gun games off in their collection too. So I don't know. I think they're just better off. Here's the Sonic collection, and then here's the Sega, collection there. But the problem is, my problem with these collections is you're not bringing anything newish to it, right? Like, here's the same game, but you need to bring out some games that just never got released over here or something like that to add on.
And they kind of drip feed, like companies drip feed us, It's like, once only released in such and such, here it is.
Yeah,
they
did that.
Tetris on the Sega Mini.
I was gonna say they did that with the Mega Man, like the
Wily Wars.
No, the mini console of the Sega had the Mega Man Wily Wars on there. Yeah. And so in that way, but hell, they could have put the one when we were working on our old podcast that's not out, but that not Alien Storm, the one it was just all about boss fights. Remember we did it in our old show, like
crap.
Wait, maybe that was called Alien Storm. The other one was called Alien Syndrome.
No, Alien Syndrome was the isometric view. You're wandering around on a ship. Alien Storm was in the same universe as Alien Syndrome, but it was a beat 'em up.
Then what was the one we were talking about? It was just all
Alien
boss
Soldier?
fights. That might be it.
Yeah.
That Soldier. Might be it. Yeah.
But they have to work. They probably have to.
It's a treasure game.
Rights from Treasure, but
a treasure collection. How about a treasure collection? That'd be awesome.
They came out with some cool games on the Sega Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah, treasure collection would be good. You got
Gunstar.
You got Gunstar. That one. Dynamite Heady.
Yeah.
They got some stuff. Bankai-O. I think it was a mech game kind of thing. Or
Bankai-O.
Bankai-O. Yep. There's another one. Like Sega Treasure Collection, baby.
Yeah. The only reason I could think that they're leaving so much money on the table is because licensing and rights is a freaking tangled nest. Mm-hmm. For the 8 and 16-bit era. I can only imagine how it is for the 32-bit era and Dreamcast. But I mean, you just got to throw the right money at the right people, and you can get the licensing rights for that stuff.
But I guess the main thing is just getting back to the original of the Sonic Origin Collection, I think the Game Gears would have been a great addition to sell the whole package, because there's only been released on the PS2 as a collection there, and it has not been re-released in any other form.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's Sega. What are you gonna do? They have the opposite of the problem Konami does. So,
but maybe in the future we might find some way for Sega to reveal something kind of like in a leak, because apparently when they were updating their website for a certain game coming out this fall, that is Shin Megami Tensei 5, they accidentally leaked out all the information on their page that that a certain site, I think they're called Persona something, found this information and decided to talk about it. And this was going to be something that was probably going to be talked about for sure on the Nintendo Direct coming out on June 15th. But we got more details about it. But first off, it's coming out in November. Sorry, let me make sure I'm wording this right. We are hearing that it's coming out November 11th, 2021. I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not going to confirm.
Nothing's been confirmed.
I just want to say I heard. But with the story, though, basically the story on it is a little interesting due to the translation that they found out. Is apparently the main character will be a high school student, of course,
who has to kill God.
Maybe. Who enters a desert world called Dath. So it's DA''ATH, so Dath. It's almost, it sounds like death, but you're saying it ignorant. Welcome to Dath. Anyways, where they fuse with a mysterious man and become Nialbino, which is described as a forbidden being. So, like you said, not kill God, but you might become a god. But players will reportedly face off against over 200 demons, with several new monsters designed by Masayuki Doi, who was the character designer for Shin Megami Tensei 4. And so basically, I think we are getting that kind of form. But the question is, are we still going to get kind of the Pokemon kind of segment, right? Where are we still collecting and recruiting a team, and then you could switch them out and all this stuff? Kind of like Nocturne, Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne, that recently just came out on Switch and PS4.
Yeah. People lost their mind about that too.
Yeah. So we don't know what's going on with that. Now, when it comes to price, we are looking at, now I'm guessing the regular cost is probably going to be for a Nintendo game, about $60? Because if it was on the other cost, it'd be $70 probably.
Yeah, but it is an Atlas game, and those games are always low print.
Yeah, so it shows right here that when it comes to Atlas, Shin Megami Tensei is really just for Nintendo only, as Persona's only for PlayStation, with the difference of spinoffs. So,
of course,
yeah. So, but we're looking at ranging between special editions from $70 to $85, and then with the physical and digital special editions that are $150.
Yeah, and that may be Japan only.
Yeah, the digital special thing. So, Jaron, you told me off the air that you don't know how you feel about this series, because it feels like, based on what I'm going by, is I don't think you really dipped into that world that much to really think that is this worth jumping in yet. But do you think that if the trailer that they show is interesting, would you attempt it, or you think it's more like, it's cool, but I'm probably not going to jump into it?
I'll put it this way: if I have Persona 5 and I still haven't started it. You mean
Persona 5? Okay, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Persona 5 Royal Edition. I haven't started it. Shin Megami, I've seen some gameplay of the earlier edition, and it didn't look like it was up my alley. That's great. I'm glad another edition's coming out, but it could be the most bomb hype gameplay trailer sizzle reel ever, and I will probably still be like, I'll watch a let's play of it. Okay. So, but that's just how I am. That's just how I already know at least one person. Yeah. Oh, yeah. At least one person who.
Go ahead. Do a shout out. Go ahead. A shout out.
Shout out DC, the Shin Megami Tensei fiend.
300 hours on the original PS2 Nocturne game. Shout out to him.
yeah, I guarantee he will find a way, if not the digital, to get that special edition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's one of those things. Even if you're trying to minimize what you have, there's certain things you go big for. So that's my personal prediction.
And if you want to catch up on all Shin Megami plus like the spin-offs and other stuff, man, PS3 still has those classics on there. You can grab them all up.
Yeah, right. They're not being stripped out of the store.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and catch up right then and there, from the Digital Devil Saga to all of that. I've been trying so hard to get in Shin Megami Tensei series. Like, it's so interesting to me. I really want to get into it, but for some reason I always get into it and then I bounce out. But I think I want to give 5 a try because I didn't get a chance to play 4 because it was locked on the handheld of the DS or 3DS. I think, or DS or 3DS.
I think it's a DS.
Yeah, it was locked behind there, and I never got a chance to do it. And I think this one might hopefully be a quality of life improvement where it might be easier for people to play. Because on the third one that got re-released, the remastered, there's an easy mode, a mercy mode, which I want to do that. Like, I am not down for the hardcore mode. That's just too hardcore for me. But the mercy mode might be a little bit better because it's a lot easier. Because these games are long. Shin Megami Tensei are long, and I don't want to.
300 hours.
Yeah, but he's a completionist in that way. You can finish in about like 100 hours. That's not even bad. That's not even better, right? That's not even better. I can't defend that. But anyways, I am curious about it, and I do have Persona 5 Royale 2, but that's Atlas for you. Atlas, I give Atlas credit. Like when they put out a game, you're going to get your money's worth, even if you don't want it. You know, like, look, we got over 500 hours of gameplay. Like, man, that's a little over the top, but hey, thanks, it's worth it. I might not do everything, but I am so glad that you made this game meaty. Yeah, like take it, because you ain't getting none for 10 more years. So take it now, because you ain't gonna hear from this side. And that's the same thing with 5. If this game does so well, maybe you'll pick up. Because we were talking about how fast Persona caught up, right? Yeah. Persona caught up to their number fast.
Persona 4 came out. I don't know what, like 7-ish? No, more than that.
No, on the PS2 it was way back, but the definitive edition that was a PSP game now on Steam, it came out in 18 or 19? So,
okay. Oh yeah, you're right. Persona 4 came out originally in 2008 on the PS2, but the you then had Golden Edition that came out around when the Vita was out. So.
Yeah, and now it's on Steam.
Yeah, it's on Steam. And it had a PS3 version, I think.
Yeah, in which you can get Persona 2, 3, and 4 on the PS3 classics, the PS2 edition. So you can get both of those. Even though I would try to find the PSP edition of 3 because that's more the definitive edition. Anyways, but no,
you know more about this than me. I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
cool.
I don't know. I like Persona. I like for what it is, but it's funny because DC does not like Persona, and it's like what? It's like he's hardcore, man. I guess Persona's not hardcore enough for him. He's like, no, I want hardcore. I want to get my ass kicked. Like he wants that hardcore.
Yeah, Persona 3 for the PSP, like the physical version, people are just demanding all sorts of prices for it. So yeah, definitely try and find the digital if you can.
Yeah, definitely. So
but yeah, Digital Devil Summoner Saga and I can't. It's weird. I should be able to wrap my head around all that lore, but that's a lot of lore.
Mm-hmm.
We're looking at like 8,000 hours of lore.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll find a good price and not spend your money on a dumb thing like a chicken nugget that looks like a character from Among Us, and pay almost $100,000 for it.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is news of dumbasses with money.
And we're not going to stay too long about this. This is nothing different. People spend money on dumb stuff either way. And this was auctioned over around I want to say it's about 184 bids for this thing. And you can find online. And it's just a nugget that happens to look like Among Us. No one trimmed it. No one made it themselves. It just happened to be like that. And someone got a profit. That was that guy's lucky day. Good for him. Good for him, and trying to sell it like that. So good for him. He got a nice, quick, easy G out of that. But for the people that bought that, just remember you can't eat it.
I mean, you can.
I wouldn't recommend eating it.
Yeah, I mean,
but thank you for buying it.
This just goes. I mean, the fool and their money are super party. But hey, you know what? If they wanted to spend $100,000, I'm rounding up. It was $99,997 US. I'm rounding up to 100. I don't think they'll begrudge me $3. But yeah, $100,000. If you got that money to spend and you love Among Us so much that you need that nugget, I mean, cool. More power to you.
I don't know what's worse. The fact that someone bought it, or does the fact there was 184 people going for it? You know, it's weird. It's fine if it's like, hey, one person bought this one. I was like, fine, cool, yeah, good for him. But 184 is like, really? 184 people wanted this? Okay.
It may not have been 184 people, but it was definitely 184 bids. It might have been a bidding war between three or four people. But the fact that it was
hopefully small.
Still, I mean, it's still 184 bids. I mean, as a novelty, I wouldn't have spent more than $2.
I honestly wouldn't spend money on something edible like that.
I mean, here's the thing. Speaking of things that people spend money on that's useless, I mean, we have NFTs, so
let's not even get into that, and Bitcoin. Anyways, let's move on. Square Enix. So we talked about Octopath Traveler. As you know, Dragon Quest snuck in. They're getting their early Square Enix in because they're probably not going to be talked about. Maybe we get some highlights of the two games we're going to be talking about there. But if you want more information, that is Dragon Quest, from mobile games to all these other side games they're doing. They had a conference at like super late at night. I think it was like a couple days before the Sonic one.
Yes.
And they talked about a couple of games that are coming for us here and of course in Japan. And the first one definitely was a one that I think this is the one everybody wanted so much. And I think it gets spoiled the most, but it doesn't get out that much. And that's Dragon Quest 3. You know, that's a really beloved game because it's a lot of people's first game that they played. But for some reason, it still hasn't been in a lot of people's hands. I mean, this game is on NES, on the Game Boy. It got remastered on the SNES, per se.
And re-released on the Switch.
On the Switch as a part of the mobile game remaster. So, like, you know... so this thing is also getting an Octopath Traveler, or 2D HD edition, as they put it. And it looks gorgeous. It looks great.
Oh yeah.
So, I definitely want to pick it up. But just like the Shin Megami Tensei games, Dragon Quest games are long. They're long games. They're very long games.
Because at the end of the day, it is your old school JRPG. It's like, oh, you beat this enemy? You better grind out about 5-6 more levels before you go to this next area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you better grind out about 10 more levels, and you better save up some money and get this item. And this, it makes you work for every inch of progress you get.
Yeah, and hopefully that this game will be fixing some of those problems, like easy way to travel, easy way to make money. The leveling is a little bit more balanced. You're not grinding forever.
I mean, you were grinding in Dragon Quest 11.
Yes, but I wonder how bad. You know what I mean? Like, how bad is a grind in that game, per se? I don't know.
It's as bad as you, I guess, want it to be.
Okay.
Because, I mean, but it wasn't... It was tedious, but it wasn't unfun. It was still fun.
Okay.
So if you have to grind, make it fun.
Yeah. And then there was a talk from the developers that this game, that the first one and the second one might get the same treatment down the road. So that'd be kind of cool.
Better buy it.
So that'd be kind of cool to see those. And then on top of that, we also get announced of the next entry in this series, that is 12. I'm sorry that I don't know the name of it, but the theme is flames. It has a very volcanic opening, and is a bunch of strikes on the ground with magma coming up, and it forms 12. But I remember one key thing he said, that he feels like this is going to be more of an adult style one, which is interesting because it's like, Dragon Quest never really got that thrown at them before, right? Like, this is going to be more adult. And it's like, would this be what? A kind of like a Final Fantasy VII edition style? Not comparison to story, just more like, was the other well, no, maybe 6. I guess the other ones were kind of kiddish, per se. But then 6 went dark.
It depends on the themes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to do the typical, oh, you're this, lost hero that has to go save something, or, oh, you've got to save this princess from this king that got turned into a whatever goblin, or it's probably going to go, much more maybe political intrigue,
I hope that in most Dragon Quest you play as a hero that's to save the world. I hope it's something that you did something wrong and you have to fix it. That'd be kind of cool. Like,
that'd be interesting.
You're the reason that this world's like this. You got to go fix the problem. So
that's their interpretation of what adult means anyway.
That's true too.
That's cultural interpretation.
Yeah, but we don't have a date for that yet. So
no, don't expect it probably for another 2 years.
Probably, but regardless, those games always look amazing when they come out. Yeah. Just that animation and the design. Yeah, it's almost a Saturday morning cartoon look.
Yeah,
or almost or more of a Pixar kind of look. Like very good CG work for those games.
I wonder if they'll get away from Akira Toriyama's art style.
Ooh, that's a good question.
Adult.
Who would be the runner-up? Like who would be the next one?
I have no idea. I will say this: if it is going to come out in the next couple of years, it may not be able to make it to the Switch in the Switch's current form.
Yes, we will find that out later. But if I had to pick my top 3 people to replace Akira Toriyama in artwork, all right, this is just my top 3. Now, disagree or agree, I don't care. I just want to see what they can do. One, the creator that did One Piece. I would like to see what they would do with that. Bleach, and I'm only going through his family of like the Shonen Jumps. Okay. I'm not going to go into detail. I think there's deeper ones I can think of, but we're in quick talk, so I just want to kind of just throw out the 3 here. And then the last one, I wanted to do it, but he has problems with his own show, and he has very bad hiatus. But it's the creator that did Hunter x Hunter, and so I would like to see. And he's also done Yu Yu Hakusho, so I would like to see what it is. But if I had to pick the top ones out of all of them, probably One Piece. I would like to see what the creativity he can do for creatures and stuff.
Wow, interesting. I would almost stay more in the game space and go with Yoshitaka Amano, who did Final Fantasy 1 through I think 6 or stuff for that.
Yeah, but it's going to be more adult. Do you think he can do kind of cartoonish, kiddish things like that though?
I mean, but it wasn't cartoon. Okay, so depending on how they do his artwork, it could actually look fairly mature.
Okay.
Because as expressed in the 8-bit and 16-bit games, it wasn't that great. But if you look at the artwork on the game covers and in the books, what he tried to express that he couldn't, it looked pretty damn nice.
Okay.
I mean, Akira Toriyama is going to be big shoes to fill because, I mean, come on, did the art style for Chrono Trigger. He did, Dragon Ball.
Well, he's been doing Dragon Quest for over 30 years. So
and the Dragon Quest artwork slimes look the way they do because of Akira Toriyama. Mm-hmm. Toriyama, his art style is his own. When you say Toriyama, almost everybody in the room is going to stand up and say, "Yeah, I like that game. I like that show. I like that whatever." Mm-hmm. So that's going to be big shoes to fill. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. Before we get the last piece of news and wrap up the show, there is one news I forgot to put in our notes, but I just a short talk about it because the next part is all you because you're my technology guy. So as people probably been hearing the story about Nintendo, they have won their lawsuit against I think ROM Universe, I believe they're called, for the piracy of the ROM games, and won with that group paying $2.1 million to them. Now,
sued them into the ground.
Yeah. Now, I'm not going to go into talk about ROMs about this show, but I will say this. Just for that, there's a lot of ROM sites. Let's get that out of the way. You kill one, more comes up. Nintendo can't go after all of them. The problem with ROM Universe and Love ROM that got the same faith is they should be ashamed of themselves thinking they could get away charging people to download those games. That's a bad mistake, and that's what they did. They charge a premium.
Yeah, membership
for $30 for all you can download. And I'm like, see, that's your biggest mistake. You got greedy. That's why Emu Paradise never really got hit, because they never charge. It's just like, here it is. And that's why I think a lot of ROM sites don't get hit that hard by Nintendo, is because like, here it is. Yeah. We're not charging you. You take what you want, buy. But Love ROM and them, They got their cake. They got their cake.
They got greedy.
They got greedy. They got greedy, and now they have to pay the price for that. So for future ROM people, if you're going to do this, maybe not do a premium. Just throwing it out.
Don't.
Just don't do that. Like, you either for the public or not for the public. You know, that's the way I look at it. So
I mean, all these companies know that ROMs are never going to go away, because for a lot of people, that's the only way a lot of these games can get played. ROMs and ISOs for the CD folk, they're not going away, because that's the only way a lot of these games can be played. A lot of these arcade games that are in licensing hell, a lot of these games that are just lost in time, that's the only way they can be played. So it's almost like it's an open secret. It's like, hey, don't fly your flag too high, don't make too much noise, and we'll look the other way.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I know I was on that train a little bit of like, man, Nintendo is just going after everyone. And it's not true to me. It's like, I realize, like, Nintendo's not going after every ROM site. They're just going after the people that are making money off of their stuff. Because if that's the case, we would have heard more news of them having a list. I think Nintendo would have came out with a list like, here's everybody we're going after right now.
Yeah.
But they haven't. We only heard about 2 sites they went after so far.
And it would have been hard. I mean, but the genie's already out of the bottle. Any of those places that have ROMs out there, those ROMs are out there. If you know where to look or how to do it, you can pass those ROMs amongst each other with nobody even being the wiser. So,
and that's the same thing. Like, Emu Paradise was way bigger than Love ROM and ROM Universe, but Nintendo never go after them.
They did kind of shut things down for a little bit, for a while.
No, they're still shut down. Emu Paradise, they're still shut down. They shut down because of that issue that they heard about them suing. But before then, they've been doing it for 10 plus years. Never heard from Nintendo.
I got some of my...
or at least I don't know they heard from Nintendo.
Yeah, I've got some of my best stories about people finding ROMs from Emu Paradise.
Yeah, but that's more of a later talk we could talk about, because we do need to get ready to wrap this up. But I just want to say that Nintendo really goes after people that are making money off of their stuff more than just putting it out there for free.
Yep. It's one of those cardinal rules for Nintendo. Don't put our intellectual property up, and definitely don't try and make money off of our intellectual property.
Yeah. So
and don't try and make something cooler than we've made from our intellectual property.
And maybe in the future we'll talk about the world of ROM and piracy and how we feel about it. But at the same time, at the end of the day, there is a wrong and a right. The question is, how bad is the wrong? And how bad is the right? We don't know.
There are going to be a lot of people who have opinions on that.
Oh, it's a split. It's split, hard split, no matter what. And it's never ending. It's never ending. So it is what it is. But I would like to get a group of people and just have a great conversation about that. Now, let's get into the last piece of news so we can wrap up this episode. Because we have by the time you hear this episode, we have another one for you the next day. That is really our main one. There's just so much news that we have to split this our idea up. So, last piece of news, Jaron, bring us home with NVIDIA. All
right, NVIDIA, love them or hate them.
Said it wrong already. Sorry.
No, NVIDIA, love them or hate them. They announced more product, more GPUs in our news segment called "More Shit You Can't Buy." So the 3080 Ti dropped as of the time you're hearing this recording last week, and the 3070 Ti will drop as the time of recording later this week. Of course, nobody but a select few in physical stores were able to get it. There was a hell of a line. That's actually the story. Micro Center in Dallas had a line. They only had 60-ish cards, and people were just running over each other, pushing each other out of the way just to get them. So that's just how it is with cards. Everybody knows there's a shortage, silicon chip shortage, cars, fridges, game consoles, GPUs, everything's affected. Mm-hmm. So the part of the controversy or the backlash is that this 3080 Ti was priced at $1,000, and then last minute bumped up $200, so it's $1,200. and it's supposed to be the top tier card if you can't get a 3090. Thing is, 3090 outperforms it by this much, has double the memory, but it outperforms it by this much, and it outperforms the 3080 by this much. But you're paying $400 or $500 more.
Because we can do that. Because they can take advantage of that. Yeah,
and people are still going to buy it because, hey, it's another card I could possibly buy to finish my build or to let's be honest, I could resell it and scalp it or mine Ethereum, whatever. And that's the thing. People are pissed at Nvidia because it's like this is a cash grab. The thing is, all their their 80 TIs, their 1080 Ti, 2080 Ti, 980 Ti. I think there was a 980 Ti. Anyways, all of them were cash grabs, but they were also high performance GPUs. So, I mean, you're not forced to buy it. You're not forced to buy it, but it is pretty sketch of Nvidia and tone deaf.
But when you get that FOMO in you, when you get that FOMO in your system, that FOMO syndrome.
The last handful of years through now can just be described as the FOMO era. You could hype stuff up so easily, and people are like, "Oh, I gotta have one. I gotta get one." And resellers are like that meme picture of that guy peeking behind the tree. They're like, the scalpers, everything. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna make some money off you suckers.
Good.
Yeah. It's bringing out the worst in everybody, the stupidity and the greed. So, but that's it. Nvidia announced those cards.
My antidote for that. My antidote for that is I can't afford it, so I'll never get it, and I'll never have to worry about it. It's a gift and a curse I have of like $1,000. There's a lot I can do with $1,000.
I'll put it this way: I have a 2070 Super. My card before that was a 970, and I got that 970 like 5-ish years ago. So it's like roughly a 5-year upgrade cycle with me and GPU. Some people do it every other year,
right.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm just trying to get my new computer bill. I'm just trying to get someone I'm trying to find a good graphic card at a good price, but they all gone right now. Yeah, they're animals. There's animals out there. They're savage.
I feel bad for you because it's like, man, unless you get lucky in a shuffle or a lotto or a drop, I wouldn't expect to be able to just.
I ain't getting played, man. I am not dropping 2,000. I'm like, you are not that. I'm not that desperate. All right, I am not that desperate. I'll just have this on standby. It's cool. Somebody will cut me a deal in the future, but I don't have that FOMO syndrome. So
yeah, well, to be fair, it's not all FOMO. Some of it is, what happened last year. We got a pandemic. A lot of people working from home. A lot of people having to realize their old ass e-machines not cutting it. They got to build new computers, or they got to get pre-built, and all that stuff has new cards. So when they announced all the 3000 series, people were selling their 2080 Ti's and 2080s and whatever like gangbusters for like $500, $600. They're kicking themselves now, and the people who bought 2080 Ti's for $500, they're now sitting on a $1,000, $1,500 card. It's horrible. If you don't need a GPU, don't get one. It doesn't mean just because 3000 series is out, your 1070 is crap. No, 1070 is still. I think 1060 and 1070 are the most used cards according to Steam. So there are more people than not who can't afford or don't want to upgrade. So you're not alone, Jeremy. You're not alone.
But with that, I want to thank everybody for listening to this episode. We had jam-packed you with so much news, leaks, chicken nuggets. So much.
Stuff, all that knowledge.
All that stuff for you as part of the In-Game Boss podcast. And remember, you can find us on any of your listening spots. But if you want a shortcut of some easy ones, we have a link tree in the description. And if you're on YouTube, enjoy the rest of our other great content on there and subscribe. That will really help us out. And if you're also watching us, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Tell us what your thoughts about the God of War news, the chicken nuggets, the Shin Megami Tensei news, to the NVIDIA crisis going on right now. Are you willing to drop a hard 1,200 for this? Let me know down below what your thoughts are. But remember, this is only kind of like this is one episode, but the next day we got another one for you, and that's talking about a little bit about getting us prep for E3, what we want to see, and what better be there. So with that, thank you so much, and we will catch you on our next episode. Stage clear. Let's go.
New high score. This is the way.